Really windy afternoon in Mandurah. I'd finished up work and I thought I'd go for a flick in the afternoon, chasing some whiting. It was one of those days where the wind was absolutely howling, and in this location I had to walk right out and cast back towards shore so that I'd have the wind at my back. Otherwise it was almost impossible. I could cast directly into the wind with these little ZX blades that I've got here, which I started with as a bit of a scouting lure, but the plan was to do some surface whiting fishing. So here I've cast into the wind. I'm just using the ZX to really scout, so I can cast this twice as far as any other lure, and they're really effective on whiting. So I thought I'd find a patch of fish with the ZX and then flick over to a stick bait once I've got a few fish on the board. I was waiting until I found some decent schools. So this one was still one of the little ones which I kept on catching, so I kept on going on with the ZX until I found a decent school. There was a bit of chopped up weed, and I'm fishing over and in between little weedy patches where I think the fish will be hanging out. Pretty simple retrieve, just slow retrieve, a few little hops. It's really shallow, so you don't need to give it a huge hops, otherwise you're just going to pull the lure out of the water. All with the wrist as well. There we go. Oh, he's back. This one felt a little bit better. Started playing up a tiny bit once I got him a bit closer. I've got an 8'6" rod here, so it's a little bit hard to net him, so I'm sort of flicking him right in. Either way, that one was big enough to change over to the surface lures. So I was using the Bassday Sugar pen. It's pretty classic surface whiting lure. I took off the 2 trebles and chucked on a pair of assist hooks at the back. I think it was size SS, and the colour was recommended from Rob from Getaway Outdoors. Seemed to work a treat. There's a really easy way to use this lure, and I'd probably call it the trigger method. So where I've got my hand here holding the rod and on top of the reel is I just pull my index finger like I would be pulling the trigger of a gun, and it slightly flicks the lure. So just reel in every few seconds, pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. With the trigger method, you don't need to flick your wrist or do anything crazy. You just pull your index finger in and it will give all the action you need. You can see my finger here on the reel base. I usually use the trigger method, 1 shot, 2 shots, sometimes mix it up. It is a bit of a struggle to try and work out the right drag to use here. I've got it fairly light. I'd probably be better off using like a 1000 size reel. Just these small assist hooks and these smaller fish can be pretty finicky when they try and pull, drag, and often popping hooks. Nice hook up there. As you can see, with the wind and this 8'6" rod, I can cast these sugar pens an absolute mile. So sometimes you're hooking them up quite a distance from you. And a big thanks to Darren, who inspired me to dust off this rod, which I hadn't used for a while. Such a great rod for these types of conditions. Nice little table fish. So just slowly made my way across this weedy bank, cast after cast. Because of the wind, I'm casting pretty much all in one direction and just slowly walking parallel to the bank. Saw this one follow it right up. It wasn't like one of those sessions where there's fish fighting for the lure. There was sort of ones and twos popping up chasing the lure. Don't know if that's because it was so choppy or just one of those days. Gave him a quick spike and chucked him straight into the cooler backpack. Here you can see me walking into the wind. So this is what it was looking like when I'm not facing the wind. Absolutely howling. But gives you a long cast. Ooh, painful losing fish. That was a fairly decent one, or decent for what I'm getting anyway. It's probably about 30 centimeters or so. As I was out here for probably an hour or so, towards the end started getting pretty lazy and undisciplined with my cast, but still managed to get one more. Picked up the net backwards and made an absolute meal of this. The net was all tangled up. I somehow managed to keep him. Very lucky. Either way, went away with a decent feed today. Thanks for watching. For more local fishing and catch and cook videos, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section.